Namaste. How is everybody doing? Hey, Pradeep. So happy to have you here live with us on the Test Chat channel. Can everybody confirm if you can hear me all right? It will take about 10 seconds because there's a delay.
Yeah, thank you for making me nervous.
Sanjay, you should get another box of popcorn, brother. You will need more of that.
Hmm.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, so we are here live again on the what lies beneath. Ask me anything. Now, why do I say what lies beneath? Is because on the surface we know a lot of things about people, but through the show we ask the questions, discover their journey, and see what lies beneath, or what is the hard work that is happening behind the scenes. You see all the glitter, but there's a lot of effort being put behind. And on the show, I have Pradeep Soundararajan for the first time on the Test Chat channel. This has been a really long wait, Pradeep. I must tell you that from the day we started the channel and we thought of getting guests on the show, everybody is asking for you. Everybody has been asking for you. Everybody knows that Pradeep is the CEO of Moolya Testing. He has inspired us for so many years through his conference talks, through his posts, through his tweets, through his messages in whatever form. And there are a lot of anecdotes that I have to share. This is splendid. Welcome, Pradeep.
Well, thank you. I hold the name of Pradeep Soundararajan, so I'm gonna think that you're referring to me. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I love the test chat community. Yeah, I think what I love about the test chat community is about the good conversations that you're doing, and I really have enjoyed a lot of live videos that I've been a part of. I didn't actually realize that I would be a part of those live videos. My wife and I sit and browse YouTube, and suddenly this comes, and my wife always looks at me like, "Why? I don't want to see testing, but you want to see testing." So I said, "Just give me 5 minutes," and 5 minutes become 10 minutes. So the test chat community is loved by me and hated by my wife for all good reasons. So that's essentially what I know about the test chat. It's a brand that I love and my wife hates. Wow, what a combination, right? So yeah, I
Well,
look forward to being of some use to some people.
well, well. This is interesting because as long as you are loving us, we are happy because we are all here to receive love from you. So that's all I'm going to say. But
Yeah, but
without,
British, you're married, so you know how hard it is when you're married.
I know, and thankfully, I can say all this because I'm in a secluded area right now. But I
Correct.
know
Correct.
this will be watched later at home, so I'm aware of the consequences. Well, so before we start taking audience questions, I want to begin with one question. So we know about your journey, and we've read about it, but I'm always curious what uh, drew you towards testing. Why did you choose, or how did you have testing as a career to begin with?
Okay, so okay, first of all, welcome to all watching this live, and also those who are going to watch it offline. I hope you're all staying safe, and I wish and pray for the recovery of the world. So that's one important thing. And so now, so now that I've told the most important thing for this video, I'd also like to share about what drew me to testing. I did not know I was getting into testing. I wanted to get into Bluetooth. I'd done in my pre-final year of engineering, I had done a paper on Bluetooth technology, and I wanted to quit my college and go and implement whatever I had done as my theory design. And I asked a lot of companies. One of the companies said, "Hey, you finish your engineering and come back." And another company gave me an offer letter. So that's how, in my pre-final year in my college, when there was absolutely no placement, I kind of got two offers, and these people wanted me to actually come and learn Bluetooth, because I had built a Bluetooth based ECG system, which today, after 2 decades, it's there, probably somebody's using it, but at that time it was very futuristic, because the companies who were building medical systems did not know Bluetooth. The companies
Yeah.
who were building Bluetooth did not know medical systems. So I had to so that's where one of the company called Impulsoft, I choose to work with them. They were in Bangalore, my hometown, and so that's how the connection happened. And there, when I went there, they said, "Hey, we only have a testing job," and I'm like, "Is it in Bluetooth?" That was my only question, right? And they said, "Yeah, sure, it's in Bluetooth." And then I said, "Why not?" And that's how I actually began. But then there was a lot of parity between developers and testers there, uh, as it happened in 2003 and the previous years. But interestingly, the kind of people that I associated with in the company helped me understand the deep value of testing, uh, and also I just believed them. One of the architects said, "Hey, I've worked with a lot of programmers, but your way of testing seems very different." And I believed it. Now I don't know whether he did good or bad. I at least know that he might have saved the world from one serious programming stream person, and saved me. But I also did some kind of scripting after that, so he didn't completely save the world from a bad programmer. So this is how my journey went, and then when I became passionate to testing, I thought that actually testing chose me rather than me choosing testing. So it probably wanted some crazy person in this testing space, which is already crazy, and the testing chose me. So that's how I'd like to. That's how I see in hindsight. So yeah,
Well,
so that.
thank God for testing choosing you. I must say that because
Interesting. Yeah.
things,
Well, let's hope so. Yeah.
well things have certainly been very different because uh, you know I have been following your work for almost uh, 10, 12 years now, almost. Yeah. So and I have seen that evolution, if I may say, in the
Yeah.
way you've been speaking about testing, and our initial interactions were a lot of questions coming from your side, and you were asking a lot of questions, and that is something that I tell my the folks who are testing and who are listening, ask a lot of questions, and this quality that I got from you. So thank you so much for helping me understand the value of asking questions. Now, in your 18 years that you've been with testing, in the testing area, in the industry, have you yourself observed testing evolving? Have you seen testers evolving?
Oh, certainly. There is a significant evolution, um, um, in both good and bad ways. Um, so the short answer is yes. Are you expecting me to also expand on that and say
Yeah.
how it has evolved?
What, in your perspective, how's the evolution been?
Okay, great. I did a presentation for STP Con, about I think last year, where I talked about this evolution, where I said that okay, initially testing was held close to the chest by the product owners, and so those are the people who emphasize more on the product. Then it moved from the product owners to the CTOs. Now there are certain good things that happened because the product owners held testing close to them. So in my first company, I reported bugs to my product owner, and they spend a lot of time listening to me and all of that stuff. Of course, the what's it, the the engineers as well. But the hierarchy was in such a way that there was product, and then the engineering, testing, support, and everybody reported to the product. Now, uh, as time evolved, testing, people realized that these testers were giving feedback about the product and the engineering. So they said, hey, we need to embed this testing into engineering teams, and that's where a lot of CTOs started to take testing close to the heart, and that's how testing evolved from product owner centric to a CTO centric, and this has helped testing become a lot technical. This has helped testing go deeper in certain areas. And the flip side of this evolution is that a lot of testers today lack the product context, and so that's the flip side. So for me, this is the way I would summarize that. It moved from whose problem is testing. It's not the CEO's problem in any company. The CEOs will not care about all of this stuff. It was the product owner problem because the product owner was held responsible for the quality. Even now in some companies I see that happening, but in larger companies, or the growing population of the companies and the deep tech companies and startups and all of that stuff, it's actually the CTO's problem, right? And then there is a small portion of a problem for product owners as well, but they are trying to build their own independent testing teams within the product team. Or now that there is a much more evolved sense of testing, that everybody should do testing. Now note that I did not speak the word quality so far. I just
Yeah.
spoke about testing, because if you ask me how is quality evolved, I have a different answer for that.
Yes.
You ask me how is testing evolved, and I'm answering that question.
Exactly. No, I
Yeah,
I would of course love to know your opinion about that, but I have a follow up question on this one. So,
sure.
when testers and testing have got more integrated, if I may use that word, with the
Yeah,
engineering teams, do
right.
you think that testers as such have lost their value? Because if I look at, say for example, if I give the example of DevOps, when the DevOps culture is adopted, it is always about automation, it is about tools, it is about, and nobody seems to be talking about the test craftsmanship. Not a lot of people are talking about test craftsmanship. Yes, there is focus on the product, there is focus on engineering, there is focus on automation,
Yeah.
but test craftsmanship has, in my opinion. So, what is your take on that one?
Okay. I've thought quite a lot about it, and I'm glad I'm answering this question in 2021, not in 2020 also. I'm just laughing at myself there, right? The reason why I'm glad about answering it in 2021 is that um, the reason why there is a notion that there is less focus on the test craftsmanship is we are still dealing with infrastructure problems, and we have not yet got into testing. Today, when you talk about automation, I see people spending plenty of time fixing infrastructure. They don't, like, testing is like the on the other side of the tunnel. Infrastructure is the tunnel. They're not even crossing the tunnel. I've I have seen a number of projects where managing the infrastructure of automation has become a full-time job for a lot of people in testing. Now we all know, now all of the world will understand and accept the fact that, okay, automation is supposed to free up humans to do the thinking about use cases and what kind of scenarios can happen, and then think about, okay, fuzzing techniques, and what can go wrong, and environmental parameters and all of that stuff. So I think the majority of the world is actually stuck trying to sort out the infrastructure of automation. So if they, and those who sort it out, those who prevent those issues, right? They actually get into testing. So so the world today is like this. If you are successfully able to cross the tunnel, you see testing. And as the majority of the people get stuck in the tunnel, they're not able to see testing. So this is my evolved answer as compared to 2020, where I would have answered something very different.
Well, I kind of, uh, you know, I started thinking on those lines, and I completely agree with you. That a lot of times it is about getting the tools, getting the framework ready, and still you've not actually begun thinking about, okay, how do I use this, whatever tool I have, or whatever infrastructure I have, or whatever logistics I have, to efficiently test the software to solve the customer's problem.
Yeah.
You've said it absolutely beautifully, Pradeep. And on that note, I just noticed in the chat that there was a very good question that has come up, and this is from Arvind. And Arvind is asking you, you said in your book that testing has two career paths: engineering track and business track. Can you tell us a little more about the career path for testers in business track? Well,
Yeah.
I would like you to throw some light on both, but here's the question from Arvind.
Sure. Yeah. I did say this in my book, and I've been saying it even outside of it. So as I told you that, um, if you serve the CTO, then you're serving the technical path. You're serving the engineering path, and you are removing obstacles that the engineering team has to produce good quality code, right? Um, Now, there are product teams who also need a different kind of a feedback. Now, most of the people today are um, looking at where the jobs are and aligning themselves to it. But they must understand that if there is a if there is a high demand of a particular JD, it means that so many more people are also trying to go there. For the growth of people, they have to complement what the world is already there, right? If your cricket team has great batsmen, then you need great bowlers, great fielders, right? So in India, I'm taking example of in India because I've been in India and I grew up in India, and cricket runs in India, right? Okay, hockey does not. Okay, cricket runs in India, and we all have played cricket. And one thing that we all wanted to do is to be a batsman because
Yes.
we thought that's maximum fun. But there is a need for a great bowler. There's a need for a great wicket keeper. There's a need for, what's all of these things, right? But the majority of the world says, oh, you have to be like, you have to be like Kohli. You have to be a great batsman and all of that stuff. But there are other roles. There is leadership role. There is a fielder role. There is a wicket keeper role. There is a coach role, and people don't want to take up those roles. Now, like that is the business track role, right? Because and the business track role is not a role that is largely advertised. It is a role that is kept like a secret. And in my journey of building Moolya and growing to where it is, I've had the interaction with a number of product owners and CEOs of startups and high growing startups, to be able to arrive at saying that there is a career path for a tester, in the product and the business track. And I'll give you an example of that. The CEO of Tabzo, which now is acquired by Amazon, okay, reached out to us, and they were spending several $1 million per month, that the fund that they have raised, in getting a user base. So they put out TV ads. The TV ads, people look at the TV ads and download the app, and how many people download the app versus how many people really retain the app 5 days from then. So
Yeah.
the first time user experience mattered quite a lot. So the CEO, now there was an engineering head, there was a product head, and all of that stuff. The CEO's number one problem was, I am spending $1 million on putting TV ads every month, and there are about 100K users downloading every time there is set number of ads are shown in a cricket match. The first time user experience matters quite a lot. Have we got it right? What can we do to improve this? This was CEO's number one problem. And how big a problem was this? This was a $4 to $5 million problem. And this is not just a $4 to $5 million problem. They were spending $4 to $5 million or maybe more per month to put ads on the TV. Now, how many testers in their organization did they find who can actually consult and tell about how good or bad the first time user experience is? They had testers, but they were all busy with a lot of things, and they had built some biases, and they were like, this is the way things work. So they had to go out and find people in the market to be able to say, hey, am I getting my first time user experience right? Now, why this problem statement is important. Okay, a lot of people, a lot of testers jump jobs to make money and things like that, right? This is a multi-million dollar problem. Think about how much money somebody would pay you if you were to solve their multi-million dollar problem. And this is a testing problem. This involved UX, this involved UI, this involved user persona testing, this involved functional testing, this involved performance testing. We did performance testing to analyze if the first time user is going to face a performance issue, and because of which they would actually uninstall the app. So this is an opportunity which has been a blind spot for a lot of testers, that they're not picking because these jobs are not advertised. But I think that this is a track that also has a lot of powerful opportunities, and so is the product track, and so is the engineering track. And so that's my quickest possible answer for this, and the longest possible too.
No, I think those details were very necessary.
Right.
Now,
Thank
there are two things that come to my mind from that question. That question referred to your book, and by your book, this is the one being referred to. Now,
you.
this, unfortunately, I don't have a signed copy of that. Next time I visit Bangalore, I'm going to get this one signed by you. That's
Absolutely.
that.
I,
I want to take a couple of minutes and share my journey with this one, the initial journey. I think it was 8th of March 2020 when you launched this book, if I'm not wrong, if the date was 8th. So on
Yeah.
that date, when you launched the book, so there that time in the Netherlands there was no Amazon Netherlands. It was so we have a retail, uh, online retail store called Bol.com, which is like the Flipkart of Netherlands. So it was available there, but they said it will take 3 days to deliver. I was so impatient. I went to Amazon, got the Kindle version downloaded, and I read this book in flat 3.5 hours, which I've never done for any other book. And
Yeah.
and ever since then, this has been there on my table all the time. I carry it with me when I go to work. So it is something that I read as often as I can. This by far, and I can tell you guys, not because Pradeep is sitting here on the show, I've said this, otherwise also, this is one of the best books that I have read on testing, because it is so beautifully written. I mean, it is easy to understand. I was able to resonate to every word that is written here. And so I want to ask you, what was the thought process that you were going through? First, how did you come to the idea of writing this book? And secondly, what was the thought process you were going through while you were writing this?
So, like how I told, testing chose me. I should say this book chose me. Okay. The thing is, the thing is that look, go to any testing community, chat forum, all of that stuff. You will discover chaos.
Yeah.
You will absolutely discover chaos. There is no straightforward way to anything in testing. You will, no matter what you say, there
Yeah.
will always be 100 different opinions. There will be chaos. There will be people disagreeing. There might be better ways. uh, so for me, I was like, hey, how does somebody find their peace in this chaotic space? I have lost my peace. um, you know um, the world knows about it, but I'm just repeating that after I got coached by James and Michael, and that happened for several years. I felt like it was a curse. Man, people sitting and executing test cases in the company that I worked was so peaceful, and here I was learning a whole lot of things which I felt like, man, am I the one who's actually screwing up my life? And there was this my colleague sitting just next to me, and he was like absolutely peaceful. He's like, man, this is if I execute this and pass all these test cases, I am so happy in life. And I was like, man, how can you be happy with a past test case, right? So, so for me, I was losing my peace, and I was then, going around, looking at all the forums, and everyone, there's so much of chaos. Um, uh, 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 Sanjay ran this, poll about this, about expats,
Yeah.
and he found out that 85% of people who actually have been dealing with experts get the fundamentals wrong.
Wrong.
Now,
Yes.
now that's the world that we live in. Now, I'm not saying that's good, bad. I'm not judging it, but I'm just saying this. That's the world that we live in. So, so I kind of felt that there are active learners who need to find peace, and I wanted to get this book out for somebody like me who was actively learning. But the more they learn, the more they discover the chaos. So how do they find peace in that chaos? Is the reason, is the fundamental purpose of why I wrote that book. And yeah, so it happened. It happened, I must say. It happened. It happened.
And this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome.
I
The,
don't know.
the second part of the question that I wanted to ask you is so you mentioned how the CEO came to you with a problem. You saw the opportunity, and the answer was in testing. So, you know, when I look at that, I see Moolya looking at the problems differently. Now, that brings me to Moolya testing. So, Moolya has completed 10 years. I
Wow.
know it, it may be very late, but still many congratulations on
Thank you.
10 years of Moolya.
And the congratulations
But
goes to the team who made it possible. But yeah, I'll take it on their behalf for now.
yeah, so 10 years ago, when you started Moolya, or when you were thinking about it, what were you thinking about? What was the thought process? Why did how did Moolya happen?
Well, Moolya.
Like I
So
I I think I saw a question also on the same lines. Yeah, yeah. Mahati also said
great.
some. Well,
Okay. So um, so I'd worked as a tester in several organizations. I had been fired in most of the organizations that I worked. I hardly quit. They fired me. I've never seen an appraisal in my life. 18 years. Okay, never seen an appraisal in my life because much before my appraisal they would fire me. So the reason I'm saying this is so that if anybody looks at this video, they should be careful about following what I'm saying because yeah, that's what happened to me. And so I knew that I could not fit into any organization, and I was writing this tested blog at that time.
yes.
That was giving a lot of that was gaining a lot of hits, and a lot of people were writing to me because I made my email ID public and all of that stuff. So through that, I got a bunch of good test consulting projects. Um, so I got some international work and some domestic work and all of that stuff. And most of these people would then ask me, where do I outsource the testing? And I would point fingers at other companies, and then sometimes those companies did not do as good as I thought they would do, and then sometimes my credibility was under question for referring them and all of that stuff. So I said, well, at one day I decided to point finger at myself and said there seems to be a market for the kind of thinking that I'm doing for testing. So why not? Okay, think about starting a company and building a small testing services out of it. So that's how Moolya was born. And the way we think in Moolya is that, so there's a couple of things, right? One is that having been in a lot of organizations, I understood the identity crisis the testers go through, even in product companies, that they go through an identity crisis, right? So, like, when do they really celebrate about the testers is was becoming a question. The only time the testers identified, I'm talking about that era, was when a bug slips into production. I think even now some companies have that culture and all of that stuff. So I think once in a while we should intentionally let a bug go. Not just that is that's a joke. So the thing is that, so for me, what I felt is like the testers needed a you know more better platform to succeed and to shine and to show and to build that value and have an environment which is conducive for learning for a tester. So that's how Moolya was born, and that's the way that we think and all of that stuff. Now, okay, given that we want to build a broader perspective, so we don't have biases about testing or exploratory testing or automation or context-driven testing or rapid testing and all of that stuff. For us, what matters is that we solve our customers' problem and help them succeed. And if they ask us, how did you do it? Then we want to tell them, this is the methodology, this is the heuristic test strategy model, this is what it is. And that's how it has happened. That when we show success to our customers, they ask us like, how did you do that? Then we say that, well, we follow a different approach. This is our approach. This is why we succeeded, and all of this. Then what happened is that these success stories started to get resonated, well, and then we started getting a lot of referral customers. So that's our our only growth strategy, is that we do good work, and good work brings more good work. Okay, that's all. That's the fundamental of Moolya. So I think I've summarized everything about Moolya by now.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and you put it out so beautifully that you do good work, and that good work brings more good work, and that good work is called Moolya. That is what Moolya is. Value.
Mo-
Moolya is
that's
value,
what
right?
it is. Yes, yes, yes. Moolya means value, and the testers in Moolya do that value contribution. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So Rahul has been asking a lot of questions, and I
yeah,
should be taking a lot of questions from Rahul. So Rahul is asking here, how can testers add value to their organization apart from their day-to-day work?
yeah. First, you know, okay, hey Rahul. Uh, I think they should question the value addition to the organization begins by asking a question of, is their day-to-day work adding value, the, the value that they were supposed to add. Most of the times what happens is the work is broken down, and uh, uh, people keep repeating the same set of things without realizing, is this really adding value or not. If you truly want to add value as a tester, as a developer, as a whatever, right? It all goes back to the customer's customer, right? Or the organization's customer. What do they want? How are we helping them succeed? What is it that we are supposed to do to remove obstacles from, for the customer to do what they want to do with the software? If we answer these fundamental questions, then ask, are we really doing what the customer would love? And so that way we will be able to knock off a ton load of tests. We'll be able to knock off a ton load of things that we are doing, which is actually creating waste. The amount of test waste that we create is just growing, is humongous. We like I can tell you that, I've always told this in a lot of things. Like, I tell testers, for one release, you just don't do any testing at all. Just see what happens, right? It's actually an important test to do. If you don't test, and things still work, then what are you really doing in life, right? So
Right.
so so we should go back and question the day-to-day things we are doing. We should ask fundamental questions like, what does the customer want? How is this going to help them? What else will help them? And fearlessly do it. We have the most of the organization cultures. When I say most, it's like most, like the typical organizations. If you're not a part of that organization, good for you. Uh, in most of the organizations, for whatever reasons, people are obligated to do what is being told, or what is continuing to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that is what needs to be challenged. And so I will go back to the fundamental question of, like, what does the customer want? And then say, I think the majority of what we are doing is bullshit, and we don't need to do this. We need to do this versus this. So that's how I would think about, bringing value to the organization. And bringing value to the organization means bringing value to the customers, and bringing value to the customers means, if it's a B2B, it's bringing value to their customers. So that's the way that it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
done.
In very simple words, always think Moolya, value. So,
Uh, yeah, yeah. I'd also like to say that there are a lot of other good companies too, which I absolutely respect and learn from.
yeah.
So it's Moolya is one of them. I'd like to believe it that way.
Well, here is a very interesting question from Ravi Shankar. He's asking, what are some of the key problems in testing that you think are yet to be solved? And how can we as testers approach solving some of those?
Wow, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. And I had put it on LinkedIn that some good questions that challenges me and something that I can usefully contribute will get my book, if they want, with my signature okay on it. And I'm happy to give that to Ravi Shankar. So okay, Brijesh, please collect his mail ID and let me know, and I'll be happy to. Right.
Sure.
Okay. So what are some of the key problems in testing that you think are yet to be solved? um, we've been talking a lot about testability. uh, we've been talking a lot. So first is we need to talk less. I'm telling this by talking a lot, right? Yeah, truly we need to talk less and do more. Okay, one. Okay, the second thing is I'll give you an example of testability. India has india right now has a boom of fintech companies.
Yes.
And it's not just India. Okay, globally, there is a boom of fintech companies. Companies like Stripe, which did not even exist. Okay, a few years ago. Okay, today are a market leader. We have Razorpay, who is also doing awesome. Most of these fintech companies, they have testability problems. I wish there was an API, there was an SDK, there was a service that people built where you integrate that and you can get a ton load of test data, like the credit card information, different names that you want, and all of that stuff. So we have not addressed the testability of it. Even today, how many people, how many exploratory testers who need help from tools are not getting that help? Is just another humongous number of what's their people. Now a lot of people want to build a lot of open source stuff. They want to contribute to Selenium, they want to contribute to APM. Okay, all that is great, but it goes back to what I started and said, that let's build complementary value. If if everybody wants to build a framework, let's build test data APIs, test data SDKs. Let's build testability into the code. Okay, let's build instrumentation into the code. So this is one set of things. The other set of things is this: most of the CTOs, most of the engineering teams who know that unit testing is important and don't do it, create insane amount of bugs. So unit testing is one of the biggest problem this industry should solve. Today, if I want to go test on a project that does not have unit tests, I won't even test. I won't even test. I would hire a few freshers to say, go and have fun, because at least for them it's learning. For me, it's boring. It's like, I know there'll be bugs. What's the fun in finding them? People are not going to fix. Even if they fix, they don't have unit tests to see if that's being fixed well or not. So unit tests, testability, and complementary tools, and what's the exploratory testing support tools are the missing pieces that has not been solved, and that is not getting solved in the next few years as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Pradeep.
Yeah.
Well, there was another question, but in the meantime, I have a question for you. So, in so we spoke about testability being one of the big challenges, and so are people actually even talking about testability? I mean, because in the conversations that I have with a lot of testers, I don't see that coming so much. Even in the test chat community, we very seldom talk about testability. So how would you approach that? How would you suggest that we approach that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, this is a good question. Are sufficient number of people talking about testability?
Yeah,
Um, they're not. Most of them don't even know that they're dealing with testability problems. Uh, Even today, the number of automation, projects where they begin and then they figure out that the element IDs are missing, the accessibility IDs are missing, uh, the XPaths are not there for them to hook up to, is just huge. Um, so people are oblivious to this problem. Now, do we expect juniors to talk about it? No,
no,
no. They are in the learning curve. They are just going to mimic what they are seeing from their seniors. But our seniors talking about it, uh, not to a great extent, not to an extent that we would have loved. Okay, to see what will change it, or why are they not talking about it? Well, they're not talking about it because it's not impacting them visibly, right? So we only solve a visible problem. We don't solve an invisible problem till it becomes visible. Like for instance, like hey, there is this
yeah,
coronavirus, and we heard about it in March, and the number of cases in India were like two or three, and the number of people wearing masks were like, I don't care about it. Unless shit hit the roof, people were not willing to wear the mask, and they were not willing to wear the mask properly, and all sorts of stuff like that. Right? So, that's the thing that's happening to the world. The world always has been that till shit hits the roof, I will not care about it. Now, that's another problem with testing. Shit is hitting the roof, but is an invisible, shit hitting the invisible roof, and that's the reason why they're not able to spot it. And for them, the visible shit hitting the visible roof is always functional testing, regression tests and automation. So that's, I think, where a little bit of people are trying to put their maximum effort, and they're oblivious that these are the obstacles. Like, okay, I know I was part of this one project in 2019, not too far off, um, and the team spent like what, 2 to 3 months to get this setup ready for automation. How long did it take to write scripts? Hardly any time. How long did it take to get the testability up and running? 3 months. Now, if the testability was part of engineering culture, then building, running, and maintaining automated tests becomes easy.
yes,
Since it's not a part of culture, it's taking such a long time, and it's also becoming very flaky. But
yes,
that's my limited experience. I know there are far more intelligent and better and relevant people than me in the audience. who might be able to say much better than me. This is my little okay piece.
I agree with you on that one. Here is a question that Sahitya is asking. She wants to know what are the lessons learned from your experience as a tester and as an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. So there is a talk. There is a video of this talk where I've talked about the business value of testing, which is on YouTube. It, if you're really interested in this topic, you should go read it. I've kind of detailed there. When I became an entrepreneur, okay, now I must clarify this. I did not become an entrepreneur when I started Moolya. I became an entrepreneur several years after I started Moolya, because the first 5 years of me starting Moolya, I was I was a hands-on tester, one of the leads of the project, and that's how I got some of the projects. So the customer would say, "Oh, if you are working on this project, I'll give it to you." Not that I was a good person, but because they knew me. So when I really became an entrepreneur and I started connecting with the CXOs who run the business, who interact with the customers and all of that stuff, my perspective of testing changed quite a lot. I was like, man, I was doing a lot of useless stuff that did not really move the needle. As a tester, for me, um, I was made to believe that I'm the guardian of quality. As an entrepreneur, I believe that unless everyone is the guardian of quality, it will not move. The quality will not happen. Now, we all talk about it, but how many of them can actually relate to this? They need to come to the other side of the table, which is the reason, okay, today I I encourage everyone to build their own side business while they're working in whatever organizations they're working with. It's because going to the other side gives us that perspective that we can bring to work. Now, most of the organizations, right, they say, oh, you should not have a side business, you should not do anything on the side. They're missing the whole point. If your team of engineers don't know how money comes to the table, then they will be building stuff without knowing how their customers are going to succeed with their software,
That is
right?
right. Yep.
So that's that fundamental shift for me, that as a tester I thought, okay, I was helping build the quality, but as an entrepreneur I realized that, oh, testing is one of the necessary what's the engines to build quality. uh, and it's not the quality assurance department, it's not the quality department. It is it is an aid, it is a support aid to the whole company, to the business, to the product, to the marketing, to the technical, to the engineering teams, to the support teams, okay, across all. And that's a culture that is evolving in a few organizations right now, that they're saying, hey, the role of testers is to help everyone else care about quality as much as they do. And that's where this roles of quality coach and testing coach in organizations are increasing. uh, while it's good, but what if the test coach does not understand business? What if the test coach has never been on the other side of the table?
Absolutely.
You won't get the perspective. So that's my big shift from what I used to think as a tester to thinking as an entrepreneur in the testing space. Okay, so that's where I see my shift. I'm not exactly sure if I answered that question, but this is what I got in my mind when I read that question.
And I know this, Pradeep, that Sahitya is one of the youngest testers in TTC, and
Wow,
uh, and she of course was part of the team, or in fact she led the team which worked on the 21 days 21 tips ebook, and she did a
nice,
great job at that.
great.
The
So
Yeah.
So we should also give her a book then for contributing to the community.
Yeah. Awesome. I will share her details as well. Here's a question that Gaurav is asking. As your LinkedIn profile says, preventing bugs and regression for deep tech organizations. Can you share how are you preventing regression?
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Um, I've been finding bugs for a long time now, and I realized after learning about what value unit testing can contribute, I realized that I've been wasting a lot of my time finding bugs when the source of bugs should have been arrested, right? And as James or Michael says, sometimes the best testing is no testing at all. I have practically experienced this. I worked on one of the legacy products where um, but every time we fixed a bug, three new bugs would just open up because no one knew the architecture of the product.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommended that we don't fix any bugs and we don't find any bugs. And we keep giving a discount to the customer, okay, for every critical bug they report, because that's at least the way to retain customers. And I truly did that. I just said I don't think we can actually test this anymore. And the company built a cloud system at that time, because it was everything was moving from the legacy product, okay, to the cloud, and that really helped them fix the architectural issues and build a higher quality software. Now, um, okay, today with the kind of customers that we work with, finding bugs is okay if there are just a few bugs to find. But if there are thousands of bugs, I feel like I'm as a tester, I am made to stand below a dam where they open the dam and they ask me to prevent the water from going beyond me. I will just be washed away. And that's what is happening for many of the people. They don't realize it. They're enjoying, like, okay, I have to run these tests, I have to find these bugs, I have to report these bugs, I have to maintain this automation, I have to do a root cause analysis. But hey, the true root cause analysis is, are we preventing these bugs? And it's possible, and it's absolutely possible to prevent bugs. And the more bugs that you prevent, the less stress is on regression and regression testing and all of that stuff. So this is so what I've been doing is I've been telling my own customers that, oh, you are spending too much on testing because you're creating those bugs. You will spend much lesser on testing if you were to prevent these bugs from happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And in my deep test blog, within the Moolya blog, I reviewed the example of the Zero That Tech, of how they've really prevented a whole lot of bugs,
Yeah.
and they have just one tester for a product that millions of users use. You have just
Yeah.
one tester.
It's-
Wow. I I I think we all need to learn a lot from it.
Absolutely.
So that's my focus. My focus is to be able to go and disrupt my own business and ask my customers, "Oh, you want a test team? Why? You want a test team because you're not fixing these practices. I can help you fix those practices and have no need for me or companies like me." So yeah, okay, that's the answer to
That
uh,
is such That is such a different perspective, Pradeep. I just loved it. And yes, of course, your blog on Zerodha was awesome. I would obviously share it with the audience. I'll put a link to that blog in the description of this video, which you can read later. Now to the topic of value. Here is a counter question coming from Kandan Siva, if I may call it a counter question. We as testers don't create the product. We test the product and provide information. Information we provide is not quantifiable. Then how does the company value our work?
Great. Very good question. I love this question. I love this question. And okay, please collect his email ID as well, and share it with
Yeah.
me. Um, so the example I'm going to give is about my mother and your mother. They, my mom was a housewife, a homemaker in the latest, terminology. She's not, she's not earning. She enabled my father to earn. She enabled me and my brother to earn. Um, and she did not earn a single penny. So, what did she really contribute to the family? She facilitated the rest of the family to succeed. And did we pay her for it? No, we did not pay her for it. We did not pay her for it. She would only get that much amount of money to run the family. She did not get an extra pay. She did not even get a pay, forget an extra pay, right? Now, it's not just the story of one mother, it's the story of many millions of mothers who are really facilitating the success of a lot of people. So, the what value does a tester contribute is very similar to what a mother does in a home as a homemaker. And do you value and respect your mother beyond the Mother's Day? If you do, then there are organizations like you who value the contribution of people who are facilitating the success of others. Now, it's very tricky. It's very, very difficult to do what mothers are doing. Where is the sense of satisfaction for them? Right? They're not creating anything. They're not like going out and they're not saying like, "What's your profession?" Like that's the first question anybody asks, right? What's the profession? What do you do? Oh, you're a homemaker. Oh, it's looking like, oh my God, it's like, oh, you just don't go out and work. You don't earn. No, the homemaker earns more. My mom, when she enabled my dad, me, and my brother to go and earn, ideally, all of our earning, 50% of it, we give 30% to tax to the government, who hardly contributes even a vaccine to us. And we don't want to give 30% of our pay to our own mothers, right? So that's also how some organizations behave, that they don't know to value a tester. They don't know to value a testing team and things like that. So that's the best answer that I can give for that question. Yeah, and I think that came well.
Yeah. Okay, here is a question from another entrepreneur, Pradeep KC.
Oh,
What are some of the typical challenges you faced during pandemic to keep the business running? How
is
did you or your team
okay.
overcome? Henceforth, how can we avoid or be prepared for those?
Oh, great. Okay, is this the Pradeep Casey of Test Walks?
I think he's yes.
Oh, great. Okay, great, great. Yeah, so he's doing some great work. Uh,
Excellent work, yes.
yes, and I believe that one of the Pradeep will succeed, and I believe, okay, it should be him. Um,
It's so
so,
generous.
so what are some typical challenges you faced during pandemic to keep the business running? How did you and your team overcome? Oh yeah, this is a very relevant question. Okay, to an entrepreneur, right? The first wave, a lot of customers panicked. A lot of customers panicked and they started cost cutting and ramp down and all of these things happened. I was absolutely calm. Okay, think about it. I wrote this book about finding peace within chaos. March, let's say it went live on Amazon and other places. The same March end, we have COVID, and I had to certainly implement the advice that I gave to the world, right? So there was a lot of chaos happening, and I was very calm. Okay, because here is what I thought. If the whole world is going to collapse, Moolya is one small little speck in the world. Like, nobody will bother, nobody will care. The whole world will be washed away. So you don't worry about Microsoft being washed away or Moolya being washed away. It's all a complete wash. Okay, this is one thought I had, and I was like, okay, if the whole world is going to collapse, then it doesn't matter. The whole world is going to collapse, so it doesn't matter whether Moolya collapses or not. The second thought I had is that a lot of people will panic, and I know about it, about how humans react to things. It's because even I've gone through all of that stuff, and I said, uh, uh, um if we are calm, that's a better way for us to find a solution. The third thing is that for me as an entrepreneur, I am I am more suited for wars. So there is this beautiful concept of a peacetime CEO and a wartime CEO.
Yeah.
Uh, I am a wartime CEO. I am not a peacetime CEO. The peacetime, my team works together to be the CEO, and now it's a peacetime. I wouldn't say it's a complete peacetime, but the COVID cases and all of that stuff in the company, okay, that's the war that I am fighting. But um, there is this peacetime part of it. So for me, I was well suited for the wartime. And during the wartime, where okay things are going chaotic and there's a lot of news coming from one customer after one customer after one customer, I was like, okay, let's wait and see what happens, and let's take the necessary decisions, okay, within the company. So we cut off our what's the office space because we could cut off, saved a lot of costs, which compensated for which compensated for the cuts by the customer. And in no time, the same customers came back saying, "Oops, we shouldn't have done that." And we started, doubling the teams and all of that stuff. Okay. The other thing is, fortunate for Moolya, we had a diverse portfolio of customers. That some of the customers benefited because of the pandemic, and they started increasing the business with us. So what we lost, we gained with other customers. And in 3 months' time, those customers who dropped out also came back, um, and said, "Oh, oops, we should not have done that." So, so now if I had panicked, if I had taken any decisions around that time, we would have shot at our own legs. So, what I'm incredibly proud about is we did not lay off anybody. Uh, we did give hikes in the 2020, and uh, and our people did an incredible job. They were calm, they were peaceful, and a big amount of credit, goes to them. And I just complimented them in that sense. So that's how I handle the first wave. The second wave is a nasty wave. Um, people dying. That's something that is not great, and we are trying to do the best possible. That's all that we can do right now. So, okay, thank you for that.
Well, here is a question from Lavanya, all the way from Singapore. What is your favorite? What is one of your favorite bugs you found or prevented from occurring?
Okay, I have a favorite bug that I found. I don't know. It involves the F word. Can I say it?
Please, yes,
Okay, please yes, or please don't say it. No.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Say-
Great. So so I was a tester in Motorola, and I was testing the Razer, phones,
Yeah.
and I was part of the multimedia engine group, and we were testing the voice, the like how the Siri is today, the Siri, Alexa, and the OK Google. Motorola had built a speech recognition. Okay, not a voice recognition, a speech recognition. It'll respond to what say anybody speaking. Um, so in that speech recognition, I was frustrated with the test cases that I was supposed to execute and all of that stuff. And so I took the phone near me and I switched on the speech recognition and said "fuck you," right? And then okay, the phone crashed. I was like, wow, what the hell is that, right? Um, you know, and testers do, right? So they reproduce books, right?
So
So
you
again,
said you said it again.
so I said it again, right? And then I said, "Fuck you," and then it would crash. I was like, man, that seems strange, right? That seems strange. Okay, and then I took it to my colleague. He's like, hey, it's impossible such bugs will come, man. Like, see, man, I'll show it to you. And then in front of him, I said, when I switched on the speech diagram, and again I said the word. And then it's like, hey, how is it happening? And then and then he and I did some investigation, and then we realized that this is not about the word "fuck you." This is about any word that is spoken loudly. And there was an audio gain, okay, set. So if the amplitude crosses the audio gain, okay, then the app crashes and there is a buffer overflow, and then the phone crashes, and all of this stuff happened. But the dilemma that I had, how do I report this? Okay, how do I write the steps to reproduce? Do I say switch on the speech recognition, shout out loud and saying "fuck you," or or what is it? So then me and my colleague experimented a lot, and we started saying our manager's name loudly, and it still crashed. And in my and in my steps to reproduce, I was tempted to write say this guy's names loudly and it'll crash, and that would have been wonderful, but I did not certainly say it. So this is one crazy funny bug that I will always remember in my life. In terms of bugs that I prevented, and I think I told this story about not fixing bugs because it was a legacy product and the architecture was so broken and nobody knew the architecture. The code did not have proper comments, so people were trying to figure out why a certain line of code was written, and me saying don't fix any bugs here because it will lead to more bugs is one of my first early examples in 2008 and 2007 of prevention of bugs. So That's those are the two examples.
Excellent. Great example.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Well,
crazy.
here's the next question, and it is from Dimpy. Dimpy is asking how to improve negotiation skills, which is very much needed for all testers at any level.
Okay, negotiation skill. I'm just thinking, what kind of negotiation skills is this? Uh, okay, while I
From
say hi, Dimpy, okay, can you give me examples of what are the contexts that you think the negotiation skill for a tester matters a lot? Is it about buying more time? Is it buying more time?
could be that one, yes.
Okay, so um, so uh, uh, so as long as you know the purpose.
Well, looks like we've lost Pradeep. There seems to be an issue here.
I Oh, am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, fabulous. I thought that bug still works.
Oh well.
Yeah. So the thing is that there's an electrical tripping issue that's happening in our whole of this what's it place. I'm just keeping you all informed. So in terms of negotiation skills, the the purpose becomes a good oracle, good reference point for us to be able to negotiate. Now, if the purpose is to release faster, compromising quality, then the tester doesn't need to negotiate much of saying, hey, these are things that can go wrong in production, and we are taking a calculated risk. So let's just go ahead. So there's nothing to negotiate there. If you are looking at, okay, we also want good quality, we also want a faster release, then based on certain priorities, based on certain information that we have already gathered, we may want to present the data, and people make decisions in many different ways. Okay, some people are data driven, so they need data to be able to make the decisions, either to give more time or more budget. Now I know how many testers don't recognize that they need more team members. Sometimes they
Right.
need more colleagues to support. They
Right.
need different skill set to be brought into the team. So all of these things require the negotiation,
Right.
right? And being able to go back and say what is the purpose, why are we not going to achieve the purpose, how much we are off, okay, to achieve the purpose, the opportunity costs. If we have an understanding of these things, then we will be in a better position to negotiate, because a lot of people don't know these contexts, don't know the purpose. They negotiate purely based on, hey, we should, we need more time, we need more budget. And the management or the leadership finds it very easy to say, no, sorry, just go do what is required. Today, we pride about we pride about agile, we pride about DevOps, we pride about a whole lot of great things that we have done. But even today, if there is a release, the team slogs. If the last few days of the sprint is a stressful time for a lot of engineers, even today,
Yes.
that's because that they could not negotiate.
That's right.
They either have to say that it's not going to happen in the way you want it to happen. It can happen, but not in the way you expect it to happen.
Yeah.
Or to say we're not ready for it, but we'll give it a try. Or to say be okay with things not being in great shape.
Yeah.
Uh, this is where I've seen, let's say, experts make a difference. Now, I'll give an example. We brought in Anand Bagmar for one of the very challenging projects. The first of the few things Anand Bagmar did was to negotiate and tell, this is not practical, this is not feasible. And then he got the audience to agree to what is feasible, what is practical, what is real.
Yeah.
And also, he said, this is challenging, but we will do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like completely about, okay, shying away from a lot of responsibilities. It's about saying, hey, this is impractical. We should not even be attempting it. This is not feasible. This is not available. But this is what we can do, and we can stretch a little bit, but that's challenging. But we'll still do it, and he did it. That's a mark of a true expert who negotiated and brought the whole company to understand what reality meant for them. And
Yes.
and that's the best example that I have seen in the recent times about negotiation from a person in the testing space.
Yes. And Anand is pretty good with that. A big shout
Yes.
out to Anand. Thank you for doing what all you have been doing for the testers. There's a lot to learn from you. So thank you so much, Anand, for doing that. Well, next question I want to pick up is from Kshitij. But before you answer this, Pradeep, we are approaching the end of this session as we had planned. Can we go over a
Right.
few more minutes, a few extra minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes more than the scheduled time? We
Yeah, possible. But in case there's another tripping that happens, you can say Pradeep is a very nice guy. Let's cut him off and just cut me off. Okay. Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
just go a few minutes and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
maybe 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes more. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
sure.
Thank you for that. Okay,
Yep.
so Kshitish is asking, very few testers are influencers.
Mhm.
How does that bother you? How do you want to solve this?
Oh my God, this is a lovely question. Um, this is a beautiful question. Um, Very few testers are influencers. Um, Even in my book, the last of what I've said in the book is that um, we all need to be, change agents.
Right.
All need to be okay influencers. Today the most valuable thing a tester can do for what's say any company in this world is to be able to influence the culture of the company.
Yeah.
If someone is not an influencer, be it a tester or a developer or whatever role that they are in, they will not be able to move an inch of anything. I would like to take the example of Sanjay. Okay, Sanjay is a very good influencer. I'm
Oh,
really
yes.
impressed with him. I'm really impressed with this guy, and he spends a lot of time, what's say, helping others to succeed.
All this time, in fact.
Most of his time, right? Most of his time. I hope he gets some sleep. Um, right, and being able to build the crow path or the selectors hub to what he has built. It's just not possible by just building it.
Correct.
It's only possible because he has he has invested his time to help others to succeed, and that's influencing. Okay, influencing is not like the politicians influencing, like, hey, just give this to my my friend or a relative. It is to help others to succeed.
Yes.
If if testers don't spend time or are not spending time for others in the organization to succeed, they're not being influencers. And if they're not being influencers, then they are dinosaurs waiting to happen. That's it.
That's such a lovely answer. I hope
Thank
Kshitij also qualifies for a
you.
signed copy of
Absolutely.
your book. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Okay, I will go to the next question, and this is from Arpita, all the way
Great.
from Germany, and she's asking why leadership teams in most of the organizations in current software worlds to automate wants everything automated.
Yeah. So I did not understand this, okay, till I became a businessman. Okay. So now, traditionally people have told that, okay, tests do a pass or a fail. These tests that give out a pass or a fail can be automated to some degree,
Yeah.
right? And some part of it is the check, some part of it is the test. Okay, all that stuff is there, but most of the tests that humans have been running were supposed to be actually be run by machines.
Mhm.
And I have an example project in my own life. In when I was consulting, um, I partnered with a developer and built a tool okay, which would do a validation of, okay, certain, business rules. And till I built this tool, there was a testing team that was doing the validation by copy pasting stuff on an Excel sheet and things like that. And and this team existed for 2 years. Now, we built this tool in about a week's time. So so what's everybody was shocked that, wow, we wasted so much of money, so far. And for me, I got a very different learning out of it, that I think humans fall into the trap of doing what they were not supposed to be doing, then automating it to show to the world that they were not supposed to be doing that, and hence proving that automation can test. This is the trap that humans have fallen into for ages. For ages, a lot of now the legacy of software testing has enough number of examples that humans were not supposed to be doing those tests.
Yes.
So what businessmen don't want to study testing. Testers themselves don't want to study testing. Forget why do we even go to the businessmen, right? So businessmen don't have time, don't want to bother about studying testing of really, is it checking, is it testing, is it exploratory testing, are there use cases, edge cases that cannot be automated. They have no clue about all of these things. All that they want is they want fast growth. And
Yes.
what gives them fast growth is automation.
Yes.
At least the perception of a fast moving thing can only be given by automation.
Yes.
And um, there are a number of companies that have also sold, let's say, automation as a replacement to testing, and have shown as an efficiency improvement, who have also successfully wired the person to think that yes, automation can replace humans. Today, there are many organizations, even some of my customers, who think that if humans are doing testing, then there's something wrong.
Oh,
That's completely wrong, because their developers, who are humans, are supposed to be testing, and there's nothing
yes.
wrong in that, and that's important. Their product team is supposed to be testing, and there's nothing wrong in that. They are humans. Their UX
Yeah.
team is doing the testing actually, and there's nothing wrong in it. But testers doing testing seems to be wrong, right? So this is what I've understood as a businessman, that for business people, there is a pressure of capitalism to make money faster. And what makes money faster is when things move fast. And what gives the perception of the fast is automation. Hence, global leaders think that, okay, automation can address a lot of problems. Now, unit testing can address more problems than just automation can. And when I say automation, the majority of the world thinks about front end, um, even to some degree, some kind of API tests and things like that. Code reviews and unit tests can prevent a lot of bugs. Can are way better than than hundreds of front end automated tests. But they don't want to do that because it's a massive cultural shift. But this looks like an incremental shift that they can command and get it. So
Yeah.
from a business person perspective, I don't see that as wrong, because it's not their problem to find out whether testing or human testing or automation is right or wrong. It's not their problem statement. They're worried about their business and market share, and they have their own share of problems to worry in the company that others are not worrying about. But it's the product and the engineering heads who need to be who need to be able to think about this, who need to be able to study this, and that's where we are actually seeing those challenges. But as things have changed, things will change, and I believe that I would see this change. And just like how the COVID changed the this concept of remote work, where today the whole world is remote work. um, we will see such pandemics in the software space, and which triggers the change. uh, and it's also happening in many organizations. So that's essentially what it is.
I
I
think
hope.
that said beautifully. Now, I would like to end with one last question from my side.
Sure.
As a lead up
Right.
to this event, you wrote a post on LinkedIn sharing the fact that you're going to be on this event. Now, there was a word mentioned in that post that you had listed a few things where people could ask you questions. One of the things was stammering, and I was particularly curious about that. How
Hmm.
does so just taking that as one of the challenges somebody has to overcome, what is your advice for people with such challenges, whether it is respect to speech or being able to just be confident enough, just being able to speak out? How does one get over that line and you know be great?
Okay. Each of us have disabilities. Some
Yes.
people have visible disabilities. Some people have invisible disabilities.
Right.
People who have visible disabilities need to understand that the people who have the invisible disabilities are fighting the same fight that they are fighting. And the first and foremost of what's say anything is acceptance, which is hard,
True.
which is a hard thing to come by for human beings. If we have failed, we resist to accept that. In many cases we are like, oh, no, 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 I was wrong, he's the one who did all that stuff. So we always find people to blame it on, right? We
Right.
always want to feel like we were victimized. All of that stuff. Even I went through that phase, and then I realized that, well, I can keep saying that I'm a victim, or I can do things, I can have fun. So for me, I think I turned the obstacle to my advantage. And today, if I stammer, I feel that people are going to listen to me more carefully than if I don't stammer. Right? So that's so why do people want to speak? Because they want to be heard. And what a better way to speak than to stammer? Where people play curious attention. Is he going to say the F word or the S word? Because it would be struggling, right? So that's essentially how I have turned it to fun, turned it to my advantage, and accepted it to be a part of my life. And that's how I've been able to be at peace with it. That today Pradeep, he is a stammerer. It's a given. What can Pradeep or anybody else do about it? Nothing they can do about it. So just be cool with it and enjoy the life. Have an extra peg of whiskey or a beer whenever it is possible, and enjoy life. That's the way I would look at it as. Okay.
I think that is such a beautiful answer, to turn it
Thank
around in a way to have fun. I mean, that
Yeah.
is so beautifully answered. I mean, I am short of words to describe how lovely this answer is. Well, Pradeep, it was an amazing discussion. I wish we could have gone on and on. There are questions I know. Probably we should do a round two with you, a chapter two or something like that. We will definitely try and plan that. But what is special is we are today on the 364th day of the Test Chats journey. So
Wow.
in 2 days' time,
Wow.
we complete a year, and
Wow.
and to have you do this was really an amazing experience. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all those brilliant answers. Thank you so much for all the inspiration that you've been giving to all the testers from around the world. You know, I can just go on with that. This is amazing. We will look forward to doing another AMA or some sort of an event with you exclusively. And of course, when I'm in Bangalore, I definitely need to meet you because I need your signature on that book that I have.
Sure. 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 Thank you. Thank you very much. My best wishes to the test chat. Okay, founders and the team. It's absolutely been a lovely journey to see you people do what you've done. Okay, in the first year, there's a lot more coming for sure, and I wish you the very best. And whatever support that you people require, I would like to extend that okay as much as I can. And thanks to the people who bothered to stay late and also tune in on their Friday evening to ask these questions or listen to my crazy bug and things like that. Thank you very much, and please do stay safe and find the gift of your life and spread the gift and make the gift that you have available to everybody in this world. Thank you very much, Brijesh. Have a good night. And certainly I look forward to sending those books to those people once the lockdown and everything is
Sure,
over. And
sure,
and all have a good night. Okay, maybe all meet someday, and that's the hope.
sure, sure. Thank you,
Okay.
Pradeep. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay. See ya. Bye bye.
Bye.